A fluorescent light hummed above a secure archive room. Inside, a technician slid a folder across a metal table. The pages were dense with equations, reactor designs, and calculations that had taken some of the world's brightest scientists years to develop. The folder represented one of the most closely guarded secrets on Earth. A few years later, parts of that knowledge would be sitting in the hands of governments that were never supposed to have it. And the man responsible would disappear. Not into prison, not into hidings, but into a mystery that still follows intelligence agencies decades later. His name was Mordechai Vanunu. And depending on who you ask, he was either a traitor who endangered his country's security, or a whistleblower who exposed one of the world's biggest nuclear secrets. The strange part is that his story did not begin in a laboratory. It began in the deserts. Deep in southern Israel, surrounded by empty landscapes and military restrictions, sat the Dimona Nuclear Research Center. Officially, it was a civilian facility. Publicly, Israel maintained a policy of deliberate ambiguity about nuclear weapons. The government neither confirmed nor denied possessing them. But rumors never disappeared. Foreign intelligence services watched the site from afar. Analysts studied satellite images. Experts debated what was happening behind the fences and concrete walls. Very few people actually knew. Vanunu was one of them. Born in Morocco before moving to Israel as a child, he eventually found work as a technician inside Dimona. His role did not place him among the nation's top scientists. He wasn't designing bombs or directing research. But he had something equally valuable. Access. Day after day, he moved through sections of the facility that most citizens would never see. He observed equipment, production areas, and processes hidden from the outside world. For years, those observations stayed inside the facility. Then Vanunu changed. Friends noticed shifts in his political views. He became increasingly critical of government policies. His beliefs evolved. The more he questioned the system around him, the more uncomfortable he became with the secrets he carried. Eventually, he made a decision that would alter his life forever. Before leaving his job, Vanunu secretly brought a camera into one of the most secure facilities in the country. That alone sounds almost impossible. Modern nuclear sites are built around layers of security: surveillance, inspections, restricted movement, controlled access. Yet somehow over time he photographed critical areas inside Dimona. Dozens of images, machines, production equipment, underground sections, evidence. Then he left Israel. At first, nobody seemed to notice. Vanunu traveled abroad, moving through different countries while carrying something extraordinary. Not stolen documents, not classified folders. Photographs and knowledge. The significance of those photographs would only become clear once experts examined them. Eventually, Vanunu arrived in Australia. There, in a church community where he spent time after leaving Israel, he spoke openly about what he had seen. Many people dismissed his claims. Stories about secret nuclear programs appear all the time. Most led nowhere. But one conversation changed everything. A journalist heard him out. Soon, Vanunu's information reached reporters at the British newspaper The Sunday Times. The editors faced a difficult question. Was this man telling the truth? If he was lying, publishing his claims would destroy the newspaper's credibility. If he was telling the truth, they were holding one of the biggest national security stories of the century. The newspaper launched an extensive verification effort. Experts studied every photograph. Nuclear scientists examined layouts, machinery, and production methods. They compared what they saw against known reactor technology and weapons programs. The conclusions shocked many of them. According to multiple experts, the images suggested Israel's nuclear capabilities were far larger than previously believed. For years, governments had speculated. Now there appeared to be evidence. As journalists prepared the story, another group was paying attention. Israeli intelligence. The possibility of publication represented a nightmare scenario. Once the information became public, it could never be taken back. The photographs would spread globally. Analysts, rival governments, and intelligence services would study every detail. Stopping publication became a race against time. But Vanunu was no longer inside Israel. He was in Europe. And that created a problem. Arresting him openly on foreign soil could trigger an international scandal. What happened next remains one of the most famous intelligence operations of the modern era. In London, Vanunu met a woman who introduced herself as Cindy. She appeared friendly, interested, ordinary. The relationship developed quickly. To Vanunu, it seemed like chance. To intelligence historians, it looked very different. Cindy was not who she claimed to be. She was later identified as an operative connected to Mossad. As publication approached, she convinced Vanunu to travel with her to Italy. It was a small decision. A short trip. Nothing unusual. At least on the surface. When Vanunu arrived in Rome, the operation moved into its final stage. Accounts indicate he was lured into an apartment where a team was waiting. He was subdued, secretly transported, and removed from Italy. No public arrest. No courtroom. No official extradition process. One day he was there. Then he was gone. For a period of time, people genuinely did not know where he had disappeared to. Meanwhile, the newspaper story went ahead. The photographs were published. The world finally saw inside Dimona. And the mystery surrounding Israel's nuclear program suddenly looked much smaller. Weeks later, the truth about Vanunu's disappearance emerged. He had been taken back to Israel. There, he faced charges related to espionage and revealing state secrets. The trial attracted global attention. Supporters described him as a whistleblower exposing information the public deserved to know. Critics argued he had endangered national security and potentially altered regional power balances. Both sides believed they were defending something important. And that is what made the case so divisive. Vanunu was eventually convicted and sentenced to 18 years in prison. Much of that time was spent in solitary confinement. The punishment transformed him into a symbol. For some, he became a defender of transparency. For others, a cautionary example of what happens when someone reveals sensitive intelligence. Yet even after his release, the story did not truly end. Restrictions remained. Travel limitations, monitoring, continued controversy. Decades after those photographs were taken, people still argue about what Vanunu actually was. A traitor, a whistleblower, a dissident, a security threat. Perhaps the reason his story endures is because it forces an uncomfortable question. Who owns a secret powerful enough to reshape history? A government, the people it protects, or the individual who discovers it? Somewhere beneath the desert, the facilities that sparked the controversy still exist. The debates still continue. And the photographs that once crossed oceans in secret remain a reminder that sometimes the most heavily guarded walls in the world are not breached by armies, hackers, or spies. Sometimes they are opened by someone already standing inside.